Good news, lots of stuff coming back. The Minnie Vans, we have thoughts. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, I can't wait to get my reservation, and so much more. Plus, we're going to be talking about March Madness. What did they do right? What did they do wrong? All tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for March 27, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside, and tonight we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and to talk about a lot of stuff, we need a lot of people. I got some right here. Shannon, how's it going?
It's going great. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Yeah, and by the way, Shannon, thanks for stopping by here instead of the Oscar party you were going to go to. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And then Allie from Disneyland News Today. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
And the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rob Bazemore. How are you, sir?
I am outstanding, man. Glad to be here.
Gosh, man, I am so excited to see all of you folks. And again, thank you guys at home for watching. We really appreciate it. Please make sure to hit like and then also subscribe to this channel if you have not already. And again, thanks for spending Oscar night with us. I know you'd rather be nowhere else but here on ParksCenter, so thank you so much. Let's go around the hub. We've got a lot of news to talk about, including that something I'm really excited about is that the cultural exchange program is coming back. We got news that the cultural representatives are returning to Epcot. You know what? This was always a big deal for me when we would go there, to be able to go to the countries, and especially like my son. He was so into Japanese culture, and it made him the happiest to be able to go up to one of the representatives and say something in Japanese, and I'm sure they were just like, that's adorable, move on, kid. But they were always very gracious and kind, and it really is, to me, what made a huge difference. But Shannon, are you excited about this, or is it just me?
Yeah, so excited. I mean, having the cultural representatives add to the immersion of these countries, and you learn so much from them. I remember in Italy one time eating at Via Napoli, and my husband and I were about to go on our Adventures by Disney trip to Italy, and the server, he was helping me pull up map. He's showing me bakeries that we need to go to, and I always love it. You learn so much, and it makes you feel like you're really in the country.
Yep. Someone who's always out of this world, Rob Bazemore. Tell me your experiences there.
Yeah, you know what? Those cultural representatives make the difference between this just being a facsimile of those countries and having some authenticity to the experience you have there. Having someone who can speak, to the actual experiences, the actual culture, just makes all the difference in the world. I'm really thrilled that they're back.
I think you meant authenticity, but we're going to let it slide. You were just too excited to tell that story.
Yeah.
Allie, I know you get over to this coast every now and then. Have you had any experiences you want to share?
I do. Not how to do an Oscar after party, but thank you. Yeah, we love Epcot. We love the cultural representatives. Two of our favorite bartenders at the UK Pavilion are from there. It brings so much more authenticity to the experience when you can just speak to them a little bit in their language, and they can tell you about whatever you're eating or drinking, or just a little bit about their country. So I think that will really, really help.
Authenticity should be the iconic of this event. So
For sure.
really, though, I mean, again, it is like Rob, you said, it like adds a different level to what to what we get when we go from country to country. Going there and seeing Susie from Caltech with her flag shirt on, stamping like the backs of the cards that the kid caught just didn't cut it. After what you've been able to accomplish. I know that I actually worked at one point at AMC Theaters at Pleasure Island, and the people from the Cultural Exchange coming over there, to watch movies and ordering tickets and things. It was just like, oh my gosh, I bet I know where you work. It was really neat to meet with those people, talk with those people. Hopefully they had a good time. I cannot wait for this to return. I think this is one of the last pieces of the puzzle to getting back to some level of like kind of even as to where we were before. Speaking of things that are coming back, Minnie Vans. You remember Minnie Vans? We actually, Shannon is so excited to talk about this.
I'm so excited.
We'll make her last. So when you go in, it used to be you would see them around, and we announced, I think, first that they were going away. A lot of people didn't believe us, and then they went away. My understanding was they actually were for sale, and you could buy one in all their polka-dotted glory. And then you know, the Magical Express. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the Magical Express. It was a thing that was free and included with your trip, and it was a way for you to get from the airport to Disney and back. Went away, and then the Disney Travel Company said, hey, you know what, we're gonna be able to give you an add-on to your trip, and you can get private transportation added on to whatever you're doing. Then recently they were like, no, you know what, we're not going to add that anymore. It's been suspended until further notice. And then the place where we get all our news, TikTok, the Disney TikTok account said, hey, guess what, Minnie Vans are rolling back in. So apparently they are coming back. So now I feel a little bit like kind of bad about racing out to get my minivan car that I thought was going to be a collector's item. So actually, I was just kidding. Shannon, we'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I loved the Minnie Vans. I used them several times when they were around. I know this is kind of a polarizing subject, and in the similar respect that the Star Cruiser, I think there's a ton of people that can afford the Star Cruiser but don't see the value in that money and experience. Same thing with the Minnie Vans. I understand that an Uber from Epcot Resorts to Magic Kingdom Resorts is going to cost you $10, and the minivan may cost you $40 or $50. However, you know what you're getting. You're getting your Disney music on the ride, and most importantly, the interactions with the cast members. That was a big thing for me. You have this personal experience with the drivers. You get to learn all about them. I love to ask, you know, where have they been in their Disney career. One driver in particular, he had 12 different roles, one of which was a train conductor. I'm like, that's amazing. But all of them in common said that it had been their favorite role thus far. And so just having those experiences kind of one-on-one, I love it. I thought it was kind of an adventure on its own.
Yeah, and actually, it's one of those things where we enjoy the convenience of being able to pull up a rideshare on our phone, and this is being able to pull up a Disney rideshare. So, like, what could be better than that? And so, I don't think I ever did a minivan. I think I was trying to get a minivan once, and then I got a Lyft instead, and it was a little disappointing. But you know what? Once you're inside, they all look the same. So, but you're right. I mean, the cast members, having an actual Disney cast member with you does make a big difference in anything you do. Allie, did you ever take one?
We did not. We did bring it up a few times as an option, and then I think Uber or Lyft ended up being quite a bit cheaper. So for us, that was the better route, but I think that it's great that it's coming back. I'm sure the interaction with the cast members is nothing short of phenomenal. But I will say we have had some good Ubers and Lyfts with former cast members and other people that just lived around the area. So, you know, kind of roll the dice with that and see what you get.
You know what? I wonder why the system never came to Disneyland, because the last time I was there, and you and I had this conversation, at the end of the night, I'm so exhausted, and yet there are very few Disney hotels, and so I have to hoof it down, down Harbor Boulevard, and I'm just like, maybe an Uber, maybe that would be a thing. So I feel like that's something that they could have done there, but maybe just nobody cares out there. Is that a possibility?
I don't think anybody cares. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's respect the buzzer and move on, and we'll let Rob start with this next topic because I know he's dying to talk about the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. I can just see it in his face. So buckle up, buddy. Get ready. So we have this article on our website, wdwnt.com, if you're not familiar, that the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is preparing to reopen. They're doing casting calls for it. So again, just like we were talking about the international program, this is one of those things that has been a while coming to get back, but also it's already existed on the cruise ship. But just looking at this, I was thinking, I feel like the kid with the Mickey ear hat's getting the raw end of the deal. They just put a hat on him. I hope he at least gets like the sparkle treatment and all that. Rob, have you ever had this done, or it's been on your bucket list?
You know, I kept trying, but I could not get a reservation. It was booked forever.
Yeah, I figured.
But honestly, you know, this seems like such a magical experience for the kids. You know, you think about what we pay for a deluxe hotel at Disney, or what we pay to go to a nice restaurant. And those, you know, wow, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, wow, I can't speak today.
Take two.
It's expensive. You know, I can imagine a child going home and that being the best experience they've ever had in their entire life, telling all their friends, I'm sure many of those children would be just as happy staying in a all-star resort, but getting to do something like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. It just seems like it would be kind of an inspirational thing for children.
Yeah. Shannon, this looks like it's more up your alley.
Yeah, if only that was around when I was a kid. I think it's cute. I like the mermaid. I like the Captain Minnie and Mickey, and I'm just happy to see this is one more thing that's going to be, coming back to normalcy. Similar light to the international cast members. So happy to see it back.
Yeah, and you know what? My daughter did this when she was younger, and it was something that we look forward to. And that, it's like you make your reservation, and it's going to be one of those big deals on your trip. And yeah, it was pretty exciting. How many are there out in California, Allie?
Of the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique?
Yeah.
Just the one.
Okay. Well, don't you think you guys need to do something about that?
I would agree. I think I'm happy it's coming back, and all the stuff when it was open before, the kids that would come out of there looked super cute. Like the cast members did an incredible job. So if I was a kid or if I had kids, I would be super excited. But I'm happy for everyone else.
Well, I know when I met your friends, one of them had a video of her getting like the magic wand.
Oh yeah, getting the little pixie dust sprinkled on her. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think they were doing that outside of the shop, right? When it was closed and
behind the castle. Yep.
Yeah, just a little bit of pixie dust, which is always fun and exciting and neat to see. So let's move on to our next story, talking about Tron. And there's still a whole bunch of stuff left to do here. But one of the cool things that we saw was that there is actually a tunnel where the train can come through. Oh my gosh, are we going to get a train back? That would be fantastic. They're actually testing the train. This dude is so excited that he can't even stand it. And then you've got they keep pulling the train into the Storybook Circus station and then backing it back out because obviously it can't go through the Tron construction area. But Allie, let me throw this one to you first because Disneyland was without a train for what, 18 months or something like that when they were making the Rivers of America shorter. And I mean, you got to admit that there is something missing from that kinetic energy of having that train around the tracks.
Yeah, because just when you walk into the park, you'd see it coming into the station, you'd hear it, and even just as you walk around the park, the different stations, it's just something that like you don't always think about, but if it's not there, you're very aware of it. And I'm super excited to finally ride the train again at Disney World because I have not been on that since probably 1994. So hopefully that will open soon. Super excited.
I think 1994 was the last time it was actually working. So that's probably about right. Yeah. Rob?
It's great. And at Disneyland, I love the train there. I can't wait for it to come back to Disney World. I was recently there, and it was sad not to see the train going. As far as Tron, it is probably the ride that I have been most excited about since they announced it like 20 years ago. And it's great to see the construction work and the canopy there. I think it drives a lot of excitement, and I can't wait for it to open.
Did I catch you off guard, dude?
No.
Okay. You were almost like, wait, what? Okay. No, all good. So, Shannon, train dreams?
Yeah, when I saw WWNT post on their Instagram page the other day, the picture of the train, I had some kind of reaction inside of me because it was like seeing something from my childhood that I haven't seen. I forgot what it looked like. I love that train. It was always a tradition. That was the very first thing we did when we got into the park on our first day of vacation. And it's been a huge heartbreak to not do that for the last, I don't know how many years. I got married in Disney in 2018, and I think that may have been the last time. So going on 4 years.
Yeah, it probably was, because I feel like into 2019 is when they probably actually closed it down and started construction on Tron that was going to be done in time for the 50th anniversary. But I guess they still have some time to figure that out. Speaking of things that were supposed to be done by then, we have more Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind news because I feel like that's all we talk about anymore now that Star Cruiser is up in the air. So they have a new Treasures of Xandar sign, which means thank goodness there's going to be a gift shop, because I think we were all concerned there wouldn't be a place for us to buy our galactic goodies. But you can see the sign over here on the side, place for you to probably exit out through the gift shop. And then here's a closer look up of the sign, and it's actually on the map now, the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So we didn't actually get an official date for this, except for the accidental oopsie that the one executive did, where they said, hey, we think it's coming May 25th, or actually I guess for Memorial Day weekend. So should I go ahead and book my tickets, Rob? Can I go ahead and count on it being open then?
I wouldn't book tickets for any dates that Disney gives us. I'm really excited about it. I think that they're purposely holding it off, obviously, to try to drive some demand and increase sales. Unfortunately, if they don't see the need to open it, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't push it back a couple more weeks.
Yeah. Shannon, you've seen the shell of it. Are you excited for it?
Yeah, I wish I was more excited for it, but Guardians in general is not my favorite. I think the movies are kind of funny, but I'm just not.
Let's go back to Rob then. I'd rather hear from him then. If you're not gonna play along, I don't want to have that conversation with you. How about Allie? Allie loves Guardians. You've got a whole tower out there in California.
We do. I'm actually super excited for this ride. It looks really, really good. All the stuff we've seen them put up, I think, looks really good. And as someone who is really mad about Tower of Terror going away in DCA, I actually do love the Guardians of the Galaxy ride here. So I'm optimistic that it will be great and I will love it.
Well, I feel bad for you, Shannon. You're not excited about this. Why? But it's just you
I'm
don't
more
like.
excited about the DCA ride. I've been wanting to go on that for years, but
Oh, it's so good.
yeah,
It's so good.
It's pretty amazing. You know what though? The same as the Spider-Man attraction that we have in Universal versus the Spider-Man attraction we have at DCA. It's like it was really hard to get super excited about Web Slingers. I like Web Slingers for what it is, but I wish it was more like the one we have at Universal Studios. Yeah. Same thing with this. Like they did such a good job with the overlay of Guardians Tower that I can't imagine it being that same feel. I think this one's going to be a little bit more immersive, whereas that one's really just more of like just a thrill with the music, and the music gets pumping and the different variations. Maybe this will be amazing. One thing, what's that?
Wasn't that Roadies too?
That was Roadie.
So you're comparing apples to oranges.
Well, I mean, Zach Ridley gave us a great backstory for the gift shop about the broker who from Xandar who shared with the WDI team recently. I'm so delighted to bring my wares to the wonders of Xandar Pavilion. That's gold. That is solid gold. You got to be excited about it now that you've heard about that. At least the gift shop. Honestly, though, I love the gift shop too at the Guardians Tower in California. So I'm hoping that we have some good stuff because I'm always looking to throw my money away and give it to Disney. So whatever they can do to make that happen, I'm here for it. Let's talk about Space Food, because here's the thing about Space 220. Anybody else here been to Space 220?
I have. Yeah.
Shannon, I'm so sorry.
I know.
I feel bad. Is it because it's so close to Guardians? Is that why?
Oh God, I don't know why.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's okay because they've replaced the food and it's a little bit worse according to our reviews. So, don't feel bad. You know what? I was so enamored by just the experience that I didn't expect the food to be good when I first went to it, because I was like, they're giving me this huge experience, like Rainforest Cafe. You take your kids in there, it's a huge experience and everything's like amazing going on the first time you go to the Rainforest Cafe. You don't really expect the food to be top notch. And so I went into this one thinking, all right, well, let's see what the food's like. And I actually enjoy the food, but one of the things, the steak that they had before, they've already taken off the menu. That's the one thing that I had. But Rob, are you excited about this new menu, or now that you've been before, are you looking forward to going back and trying it?
Actually, I ate at the new menu last week, and it was really good. I had the braised short ribs. My wife had the filet, and it was really good.
Okay, all right. And Allie, you haven't been since the new menu's been there, right?
No, we went in the middle of January. We thought the food was good. It wasn't like life-changing, but we weren't unhappy that we went. but it's not somewhere I think we would go every trip. I'm a little bummed for them to say that the new food, new menu is not as good. So makes me a little bit sad, but maybe they'll turn it around.
Yeah. Shannon, is this at least on your like wish list of places to go, or not really?
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, I definitely want to try it at some point. I kind of feel bad for it because it really got overshadowed by Star Cruiser. And I will go on the record in stating that I was wrong. On my very first episode of Pressing Issues, I said that a restaurant in space was going to open before Space 220 opened, but I was wrong. However, I would like to try and at least sit at the bar one time. I like patina restaurant groups. It's also the struggle of there's so much good food in Epcot. So sometimes I have a difficult time giving up other good food to try what may not be so great.
Yeah, that's a good point. So there is a lot of other good food in Epcot, and unless it's that one day in the middle of the summer, there's going to be a festival going on too, right? So that one time, since none of us are local to Florida, when we go down, we're going to want to try the festival food and see, see how all that is. So you got food booths that are there. You've got some great walk-up, especially in the countries, and then now you have some great dining, sit-down options to have. And so I really enjoyed the experience of Space 220. So again, looking at this food, I'm a little sad when they make these changes so quickly, because I feel like this just opened, and so for them to be modifying the menu already seems kind of crazy. But the full menu reviews are on our website, wdwnt.com. They went for breakfast and dinner. I mean, not breakfast, for lunch and dinner, and apparently it was such a chore. I really feel sorry for them that they had to do that.
Yep. It's still almost impossible to get a reservation there. I mean, it's been open now several months, and I got up at 5:30 in the morning to try to make my room, and they were all gone.
So how did you get your last reservation?
I used one of those services that keeps checking for you for cancellations, and I was eventually able to get one, but it was a challenge still.
Rob, I'm going to have to report you now. Sorry. Here's another fun thing. The H2O Glow After Hours is what they're calling this event now, has been announced, and it's going to start, they're going to start selling tickets this coming week, and it's going to be every Saturday through beginning May 28th and then through the summer. So it's the same sort of situation as the H2O Glow nights that they had before. It's just now called After Hours. I feel, is this not the Living Seas logo? It looks a lot like it.
Yeah, it is.
So, good for them for recycling, doing their part. But when I look at this, I'm a little conflicted because, first of all, I don't go to the water parks a lot. But I would assume, Shannon, when you go to a water park, you would want to go during the day when the sun was out.
Yeah, but it's Florida, and this seems like it's in peak summer months. This seems something that's super cool. I've never done it. I'd love to do it. I typically do not like water parks. However, Typhoon Lagoon is amazing. And I could go there day or night, if it's hot in the summer at night.
Yeah, I actually you're right. I don't love water parks. I think before I would always think of a water park as being the ones where you have to walk on the hot metal steps and everything's leaking and it's just like this holy nightmare. At least the theming of what they've brought to the table for Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon is pretty amazing. But I will say I love a hard-ticketed event. Allie and I did Oogie Boogie Bash out in California. Anything that has this special feel to it, I think for people who go as much as we do, anything that has a special feel to it, you definitely want to get in on. Is this something you're going to add to your list next time you guys come, Allie?
Actually, looking at it, we might. I've never been to either water park there. I know, it's bad. And I spend all day at pools anyway, so going to the water park is not something super appealing to me, but this looks awesome to not actually be in the sun when it'd be a little cooler and you're not getting sunburn, and I'm sure there's a bunch of glowy things, and I think I'd really like it. So
that's what the literature says. The literature says a bunch of glowy things. I read it just now, so it's exciting.
And after you eat ohana, you can let your belly hang out because it's dark.
that will be what the situation is. So.
I feel like it's not going to matter what time of day. That's still going to happen with me. But when they did Moonlight Magic for DVC, I actually got to go to Typhoon Lagoon after hours, and it was kind of cool, especially after the new ride had opened. It was neat to be able to, have a controlled amount of people there. Something about if it's a hard ticket event I actually paid for, I'm going to want to go, and like this one includes snacks, so I'm going to want to go and make sure I get my money's worth out of snacks. Some little weird wicked game I like to play sometimes. Rob, have you've been to these water parks before, right? Does this look like fun to you?
I've not been to either, but I remember as a kid growing up, night swimming was like the coolest thing ever. So I can imagine children being on the go and being super excited to be at the park at night. And then the parents, not having to worry about their kids getting sunburned. So this seems like a win-win for everyone around.
So you haven't been either. Did you ever go to River Country?
I did not. I always went to the parks. I never had much of an interest in going to the water parks. But I've already had my Disney badge revoked earlier, so maybe I'll try to sneak in.
You never went to Disney's version of an old-fashioned swimming hole?
No. No. I should be ashamed.
Unreal. You guys fly when you come into town, right? And everybody got to see the 50th anniversary decorations? Okay, cool, because they're going bye-bye. Shannon, this is an 18-month celebration. Did no one tell MCO?
Oh my gosh. I guess Disney didn't want to pay for the whole 18 months for that advertising. It's sad.
No, it's very sad.
So soon?
That's what I'm asking you. That's why we brought you on. You're supposed to be telling us why. Rob, thoughts? Why would they take this away so soon? Because they're touting it as an 18-month anniversary, and it was amazing when you would see it. And now when you go in, you're going to see nothing.
Yeah, I think it was equally just as much about advertising as anything else, and it's kind of paid off. They've gotten the ROI on having the advertisement in space, and now they're just not willing to pay for it anymore. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right. Allie?
Yeah, it makes me sad. I was super excited when we saw it in January. That was the first time we saw it. And yeah, I was stopping, taking all the pictures, and got to see Figment, and now I'm super sad it's not going to be there when we go back. Like, why not just leave it there?
I don't know.
I don't know who's paying, but just leave it.
They got to make money for Harry Potter stuff. I mean, make room for Harry Potter stuff. I don't know. Like this space over by
universe.
But where the where the teacup is, though, that's on the wall of the Disney store. So I feel like that's probably their space. So I don't know why that can't stay. But like, I've never seen them do up the monorails with the stickers and things the way they did for this one. So again, I don't know if they did this and then somebody else like Universal or SeaWorld said, "Hey, I'm gonna keep that in mind when I want to promote my event," and maybe that's coming up. I don't know, but I think all of this installation really was a magical way to start your trip. No pun intended, just really a magical way to start your trip when you would land at MCO. You come out, you see all the stickers, on the windows, and it didn't seem like it was a big deal. So I'm shocked that it's leaving this early. I have no idea why, but.
Maybe
Shannon,
it was just to fool us all, to distract us from Magical Express being gone.
That's
like, look at this shiny sticker.
Yeah, that's solid.
Now
and
go
now,
get your Uber.
and now that that everybody has been bamboozled, they can move on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that's the thing. Whenever Disney makes a big announcement, is to distract you from something else. When the tragedy happened with the little boy at Grand Floridian with the alligator, that was like the next day they announced that they were buying Fox. So I do think that there is some strategy in that kind of thing where they try to go and say, look over here. But again, they've done such a good job that I don't know what it was they were distracting me from. So good job, Disney. Speaking of things to distract you from, man, I don't know how I missed this at first, but I was going through the site and saw the story about this trolley car that derailed on Main Street. First of all, I don't know why this doesn't happen more often. So somebody got a video of it here. Let's see if we can. So you can see the trolley car and them trying to fix it in the middle of the street. and the cast members in their, you know, their defense formation, which I always love to see. You know, they're waving people on.
So
Nothing to
many
see
of
here.
them.
Move on, move on. Did you guys read about this? Shannon, I'll come back to you. Did you read about this? And I mean, is it a big deal? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter, like right when it happened, or someone was streaming something. But yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before. And it was bizarre to me that there were 50 cast members that were creating this barrier. I don't know. It was bizarre.
Yeah, it's a nice zone defense is what they're running here, I think. Rob, is that correct? Is that a zone?
No, it's actually, yeah, zone is the best way to describe it, sure.
You're right. Well, a man of few words tonight. Thanks a lot for that. I appreciate it. You guys, yeah. So anyway, I don't know. Does this happen at Disneyland, or did they just not allow such things to happen in Disneyland, Allie?
We don't have these shenanigans out here in California. No, actually, I saw that come through the reporter channel, and I did remember thinking, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often, especially because I don't know what caused it, but people just walk and don't pay attention, and yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, and again, you don't expect to see this kind of thing. It now makes me a little bit leery when I'm going to be, you know, trolley's coming one way, I'm going the other. I mean, I probably will give it at least a little bit of a thought and go, maybe you need to get over here and get out of the way and take take this seriously this time. So, and again, Disney's great about fixing that stuff and you know, making sure everybody stays safe. But it is interesting to see stuff like that on the heels of the fires that we've seen and the fire trucks driving down Main Street and all that stuff. And it always makes me wonder: is it that this is happening more often, or is it just that because everybody is now their own vlogger, that they always have a phone at the ready and that they're catching it before, you know, before they might not have caught that kind of thing? Maybe it's more like that.
No, it's definitely, yeah.
It's definitely that.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on to the Connections Cafe, which is really why we're all here tonight, is to talk about the Connections Cafe, I think. I'm pretty sure that's why you guys signed on. But one of the things that we always look for in any kind of a new Epcot thing is to turn to Zach Ridley and go, hey, Zach, what's the floor going to look like? And this one, actually, I'm excited about. This of, like, you know, the City of Tomorrow type of feel that they've put into the floor here. But boy, howdy, does Zach like to talk about floors, doesn't he? I mean, I feel like every time there's a report, it's about the floor and how sparkly or lack of sparkly it's going to be, stuff like that. It's just kind of crazy. But the other thing that came out was that the new Connection Cafe, which we've reported on before, will have a Starbucks in it, which then they're saying, well, this one's going to close, which I feel like, I don't drink coffee, but I feel like that there can never be too many Starbucks. And again, since you're going to be the Seattle guy, you tell me, Rob, should they be removing this, or why would they take this away?
If you guys have ever been to any park, Starbucks on either side of the coast, there's always a ridiculously long line. The idea that they would remove it seems like it would be a huge for customer service, and it seems like it would be a huge loss in revenue in general. So, you know, I hope they open a Starbucks on every corner in every park.
Okay. And you're a shareholder?
As a shareholder, my wife used to work for Starbucks. My son currently works for Starbucks. I would encourage them to open more.
But this one looks pretty. I thought, like, permanent and not temporary. I would have assumed that if it was really super temporary, they would have just set up like a, you know, one of the food and wine huts over here. I don't know what they're
like a container. Like I can imagine it would be difficult to just remove that.
Okay. I don't know why you need it, though, because I don't think there's a huge, like, traffic backlog there. The worst I ever see it is during a festival opening when you've got people coming off the refreshment port and then over by the citrus place and then coming down from the honey stand. So, I mean, in those cases, I guess I could see that this might be a little bit of a backlog. But I feel like Disney's all about the dollar, and why they would take this away, I'm not really sure. But speaking of making it easier to work through the park, part of the Connections Cafe, they've shown some walls have come down in front of it, and that's pretty exciting. We know, and we announced that the guest relations is moving temporarily, so the guest relations building is walled off, and you can see this big scrim that's been set up around it. But this pathway is one that hasn't been open in forever, and I know I've jokingly referred to this as Walcott, but Shannon, I mean, you've been there fairly recently. The walls are annoying. This is exciting, right?
Very exciting. Yeah, it's become so frustrating that I typically stay at an Epcot resort, so I don't come in the front of the park. And because of that, I tend to just avoid Spaceship Earth, because having to walk all the way around and under to get to the other side of the park is ridiculous. So happy to see that. But I need to go back to Starbucks for a second, because that's a terrible location. I'm happy to see it go.
Have you've been to that location before and have thoughts?
Well, I've never ordered a drink from there, but it always gets so cluttered with people, especially during the festivals. It's just a terrible choke point. I'm happy to see it move.
All right. Well, now we know who was behind it. Thank you. Before we move on from this one, though, Allie, the front of the park is where we have to go to see the Spaceship Earth show of the day, whether it's the Rainbow Connection or Colors of the Wind. So, are you excited at least to see these walls down?
I'm so excited to see the walls down. I hate, it's such an epic journey to go around all of that, and it's just like I hate it. So I'm happy.
All right.
Take
well,
them all down.
Yep, that's
it's
what we
a
want.
lot.
We want you to be happy. Speaking of the happiest place on earth, there's no place happier than Toy Story Land, and now they've got a crane up around all this mess about this. What may be the second longest it's ever taken to open up a restaurant behind Space 220. I don't get it. Like, they put this thing up prefab like that. It was done. And then it just sat there forever, and now they're starting to move on it again. And they announced, I guess, that was going to be opening, and that we were going to get a new toy store or a gift shop with, themed for Jessie. But if this is still where it's going at the exit to the attraction, this just seems like a minor nightmare to me. So I want to get your thoughts on this one, Shannon. Are you excited about this?
No.
Okay, cool.
That gift shop was always so weird to me at the exit. It was this odd side room that no one really went into. So I mean, I hope it's going to be a good gift shop, but the Roundup barbecue, I can't comprehend why that's taking as long as it is. And I feel as though because they're taking so long, my expectations are getting higher and higher. I want this thing to be fully immersive, and I'm afraid we're going to walk in there and it's going to be cardboard cutouts. I hope not, but Disney proved me wrong.
I feel like all of the concept art leans toward it being cardboard cutouts, and so it does look a little bit disappointing, and it also looks like a fairly small box that they've set up here. So I don't know. I'm with you. I hope it's something amazing. I know that Toy Story has been kind of a letdown, Toy Story Land, for some of us, because it's been plagued with issues, whether it's stickers coming off or plastic fences breaking, or the issue with the urinals in the men's room, or the tail on Slinky Dog, or taking away the Monte Cristo sandwich immediately from Woody's lunchbox. It's just one thing after another that's just like, you thought you were disappointed in it before, wait till you find out what we're doing next. But now, it's almost like they went back and said, hey, we're going to have to fix some things. We need to make more seating at Woody's Lunchbox. We need to open up that freaking restaurant. We need to add a gift shop that's actually a real gift shop and not shoehorned in. But it seems like they're putting it exactly where the shoehorned in one was before. So I don't know. I mean, Rob, what are your expectations for this? Also pretty low?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty low. I also think that they're probably continuing to have issues with even being able to staff additional restaurants. So I'll be excited when everything's in place, but not super high expectations.
Yeah. Allie, thoughts?
That land is a dumpster fire, and I've lost interest in this. So hopefully it's great, but I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, the problem is when you've got a real Pixar-themed land like Cars Land in your backyard, I can't imagine that you come to Toy Story Land and you're like, ooh, that looks cool. Because even the
We don't
Mater's
go to Toy Story Land.
right, even the Mater's Junkyard Jamboree,
Yeah.
which is Alien Swirling Saucers, it feels like it's the same attraction. And we've talked about this on the show before. It feels like it should be exactly as cool as Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. It's just not as charming. And there's something weird about it that just makes it feel a little bit meh. So, I don't know. It's just I want there to be a better land for an IP like this. And I feel like they infuse it into too much. But if you're going to make a land for it, it should be done right the way they did Cars Land. They did Cars Land so well. It is literally still my favorite land in any domestic park that I've been in. And I could spend hours there, and I love it. There shouldn't be a reason that I wouldn't want to be as excited to go to Toy Story Land. And it's just, I think these changes they're making are just too little too late. But again, like Shannon said, we'll hold out and we'll see. And hopefully Disney will surprise us, and this will be the best we've ever seen. Speaking of the best we've ever seen, and in our cases that we've never seen, because I don't think anybody on here has been on the Star Cruiser. There is still more Star Cruiser news. Rob, don't pout. You're fine. You'll get to go someday, I promise. So we're still releasing news from Tom's like 18 trips that he took when he first when it first opened. And there's a lot of information on our website, including looks at things like the lightsaber, the paths that you can take, and then there's a 15-minute guided tour of the Halcyon on the website. So the one thing I want to talk about, and partly for me, and I talked about this on ParksCenter 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was that Tom was on right after he got off of his cruises, plural, was I'm trying to still stay spoiler free. I'm a little bit of a fan. I want to go at some point. I know Mr. Bazemore is the same way, that you want to go at some point. So it's always walking that line between wanting to know as much as you can and not wanting to have spoilers. So we do have a spoiler free guide on our website, but this is the thing that I think gets me most, is this lightsaber situation, because again, I argue that they made such a big deal of the lightsaber being like so awesome, and it's going to be an integral part of my living my best Star Wars story. And I thought, well, maybe it'll be part of the lightsaber training. No, it's not part of the lightsaber training. Well, maybe you can buy one. Nope, can't buy one. Well, it's going to be in the show, okay, but it's not finished yet. So apparently it goes up, it won't go down. You can't use it to actually fight. So one of the comments has been that when Rey goes to start the fight, comes out, starts up the lightsaber, everybody goes nuts. Something like a gunfire or laser fire happens, and she bends down, and in bending down, you can clearly see that she picks up the other type of lightsaber so she can have her duel with Kylo. So, I mean, we know. I mean, we can suspend disbelief, so it should be not an issue. Is this an issue for you, Allie? Do you see this video and go, no, do better, Disney?
I didn't watch the video because, like you guys, I don't really want to spoil all of this. There's this little piece of me that thinks I might want to go, but if it looks as clunky as everyone is saying, then I think Disney needs to do better.
Yeah. Rob, you're going at some point, right?
I am. And you know what? I understood that the technology for that lightsaber was, a new technology. The transition was poorly managed, I think. I think they definitely can do a little bit more practice and make that transition be a little more seamless. But I'm not offended by it. And I'm still going. In fact, seeing some of those snippets that some of the bloggers and certainly Tom shared are the reason that I'm going to reschedule my trip. And I'm as excited as ever.
Now, are you still going to use? Sorry, let me not go to Allie. Are you still going to use your daughter's college fund for this, or have you changed your mind?
No, I actually convinced her to drop out of college.
Okay, cool.
So that is, I have all that money now to spend.
Yeah, no problem. Just hit me up. I would love to for you to pay for my trip as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah. So you know what I mean. Again, what we do is we talk about Disney. We need to be brushed up on it and know about it. But there is a point where you go, you know what, I want to experience that for the very first time, the same as everybody else. But you also do want to know as much as possible how much it costs. how long it takes, all those kind of things. Is it worth it? And I think a lot of that information, not only have we talked about, but is available on our website. I just, you know, the lightsaber thing, again, to me, I thought that it was something that was ready. I thought it was ready for prime time. I didn't think, like you did, that maybe it wasn't ready, and because, again, the way they showed it off, and Josh D'Amaro was like, yes, it's real. I was just like, man, that's what I've been waiting for my whole life. So, you know, I don't know. I want one, and I want it to work, but maybe that's just never going to happen. So if it's not going to happen, then we can just leave it as a prop in their show. And I'll cry about it later. What I would like to do is we want to move over to talk about Disneyland. And Allie, for the love of God, tell me you tried this thing. This is
me, yep.
Oh my gosh. Bring a friend to conquer the giant mozzarella stick from Blue Ribbon Corn Dog. The giant mozzarella, like this looks like a heart attack on a stick. And whenever you have an appetizer that comes with chips, you know you're in trouble. I mean, it's $14 for a giant mozzarella stick. Was it worth it?
Yes and no. The part I thought was hilarious was they gave me chips on the side, like really needed chips on the side of that.
Yeah.
For $14, it was huge, it was heavy, and between like 6 of us, we still did not finish it. But it was delicious for about 2 to 3 bites. It was fantastic. I'm glad I tried it, but you might die of a heart attack if you eat the whole thing. But
yeah.
It was interesting. The Rice Krispies on the side were good. It was interesting.
That is such a weird choice. And we were on here behind your back talking about Disneyland, and I apologize for that because you are our Disneyland reporter. But we were talking about Food and Wine Festival, and I was talking about the peanut butter mac and cheese, and I think you and I had differing opinions on the peanut butter mac and cheese and whether that was a good thing or not. But I feel like they come up with some in California in general, probably some more unique choices, and sometimes it's really good. And so when I looked at this at first, I was like, first of all, how does that stick support that much cheese? Secondly, is this a good idea? You took a look at this, Shannon. Would you venture into this?
I would. You know, I'm nostalgic for things on sticks at Disneyland because when I went to Disneyland for the first time, I wanted to have my very first corn dog. I never had a corn dog in my life. So I went to Corn Dog Castle, and that was one of my favorite memories of Disneyland. I love mozzarella sticks. A giant mozzarella stick, and the price is so stupid, but my husband and I would definitely try this.
But again, the side of chips with a I would. I don't know. That seems kind of crazy.
Are we really complaining about getting an added thing from Disney? I mean,
no. I mean, I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining. I just thought it was funny. I was like, do I really need chips on the side?
I'm just what it represents. Like, this thing is so huge, it's basically a meal. So we're gonna give you a side. I don't know. That seems kind of crazy to me, but. You know, I would definitely want to try it, but it sounds like you try it once and you never try it again, Allie. Is that basically how that goes?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Solid. Rob, thoughts?
Is this going to be around on the 12th and the 13th when I'm back at Disneyland so I can have it?
Probably. They didn't say how long it was going to be there, so.
So you're going to try it?
I'm going to get it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Text me a picture, dude. I want to see that. I want to see you living your...
I'll finish the whole thing and maybe even eat the chips.
I want you to have a bib, like I want, like the whole deal. I mean, we need to see that. So
I'm making it.
Yeah, please make that happen. Moving on to Pirates. So Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland has celebrated its 55th anniversary by being closed.
Oh.
That seems like a miss, Allie. I don't know what you people are doing out there, but like March 18th was the anniversary, March 18th, 1967, of when Pirates of the Caribbean opened, New Orleans Square expansion. And there's merch. So, I mean, there's some pretty cool merch that I assume you were a part of getting this merch on our websites. This could have been Charlie. Is that who that was? Maybe.
What?
I was wondering if you took these pictures or not.
I did the pin. Tom did the shirt and the water bottle.
Gotcha. And then, so while this is closed, they have these really cool photo walls out in front where you can stand there and instead of the dog having the key, you can stand there having the key. You can be one of the minstrels, and also you can stand and hold the treasure next to the pirate who's getting on the little boat. So how come you're not in any of these pictures?
Charlie did those pictures.
Okay. Rob, when you go out there and go ahead, Shannon.
Sorry.
No.
I was going to say the walls in the Blue Bayou look terrible, in case you haven't seen that. It really ruins the ambiance. Basically, they have those same... Yeah. They do. You would think they could put something dark, because that is a dark environment, like you're in the bayou, but instead they put those same walls that are on the outside in there.
Well, boo. Don't they usually close, Allie, don't they usually close Blue Bayou when they close the attraction?
They are going to close Blue Bayou, but it's open right now, and imagine getting your reservation and going to sit down in there, and you're stuck right next to a wall, and you can't see any of the Pirates ride. So do not go to Blue Bayou right. I mean, don't really go ever, but really don't go right now.
Don't really go ever. I like Blue Bayou, but then again, I don't know. So, Rob, when you go to get your cheese stick, you should pose by these walls.
Yeah, I think I'm going to cancel my reservation for Blue Bayou. So,
did you have one? Seriously?
No, but I usually do try to go there. Yeah, I definitely won't go with those big walls there for sure.
Yeah. It also seems to me, and you guys tell me, is it weird to have 55th anniversary merch? Like it feels like 25th, 50th, 75th. Is it weird to have 55th anniversary merch? Like it seems like Tokyo. Like I think Tokyo does anniversaries like for the 53rd and the 23rd and the 24th. Is that weird?
Is it weird though if they make merch and people are buying it?
No.
And they make more money?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. And you know what? Honestly, if it's a good-looking piece of merch, it really doesn't matter. I think that's, but I'm not really sure how I feel about the pirate bottle. But I do think that I'm very sure that pirate Tom Corliss walked away with some of this. So for the 55th. But again, it's kind of weird to me that it's closed and that they are selling merchandise to celebrate 55 years. While the attraction is closed, but then again, they sold DCA merch when DCA was closed, so maybe they're just in the habit of doing it now. Maybe that's just a thing. So Web Slingers, which we kind of talked about earlier, Web Slingers has now got a single rider entrance, which I mean, as somebody who a lot of times will go to this park by myself, I kind of am excited about this, the fact that they do have a single rider line. I was under the impression, though, that single rider lines were kind of going by the wayside, because if you're a single rider, then that means you have a way to get in without paying cash money to ride this attraction, which is what they want you to do usually. So, right. I mean, I don't know. Shannon, have you and your husband ever done the trick where you both go into a single rider line and then you get up to the front and then you ask the people in front of you to switch so you can ride together? Tell me, I bet you've done that.
No, never.
Okay. Right, exactly. So, thoughts? Single rider line?
Yeah, I'm always a fan of a single rider. And I think a single rider for Web Slingers entices me to ride. I have no interest in going on this ride. I really don't. But if you have a single rider line and it's really short, then I'll go on it for the sake of going on it.
So you don't want to eat in space, you don't like the Guardians, and you don't like Spider-Man?
I do want to eat in space.
Oh, okay.
I do want to eat in space, and I do want to go on Guardians. It just doesn't excite me like Mary Poppins or the Festival Pavilion that we're never going to get.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Rob, same question. You go by yourself?
Usually no one, I annoy people so much, no one will go with me anyway.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So single rider line is always perfect for me.
Yeah. But, Allie, didn't we talk about this, that maybe single rider lines were kind of going away?
It seemed like they kind of were, but then they added this, so I don't know what their thought is with which ones they're leaving open and which ones they're closing, so I don't know.
But it definitely seems like it cuts into this cash flow game that they're playing with, with the Genie Plus and also with Lightning Lane, because this is a Lightning Lane attraction, correct?
Yeah, because you also have to pay for cars, but they still have single rider for cars, so I don't know.
Good point. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing that I love about Cars is that Radiator Springs Racers is a single rider. So it's one of those things that I love the attraction enough that I want to go ride it, and I'm okay riding it in single rider to be able to bypass the insane 90-minute wait that is often accompanied with that
I don't think I've ever
attraction.
done that ride not on single rider.
Aw, poor Kevin. All right, so yeah, right. Let me ask you about this though, Allie. Is this Easter egg hunt? I saw this on the website. There is an Easter egg scavenger hunt returning to Disneyland. Is this tradition? Has this been something that has happened before?
Yeah, they usually do scavenger hunts. I get to do that Thursday. I'm super, super excited. I get to do all three of them. I got to do, because we usually do it for Halloween. They had one this year in downtown Disney. They usually do a Valentine's Day one as well. They didn't do that this year, but they're super cute. They do a really good job. You get to walk all over the park. You get a cute little egg with it. If you want all six, I think you have to buy 6 different boards, but it's cool that they have one in downtown Disney, so you don't necessarily have to go into the park. And I like that they have it in both parks, so that will be my morning on Thursday.
So I know how this works at Epcot because I feel like I do them all the time, and I know you've probably done them too, where you get the map and you buy that at the front of the park, and then you walk around, and a lot of times because I don't want to take the stickers off and put them on because I have a very bad habit of wanting to keep paper things the way they were meant to be. So I just bring it back and have them stamp the back of it, and then I'm done with it. But how does this one work?
It would be the same as the ones they have at Epcot, where you just put your little sticker on there. If you want to pick up the prize right away, you can do that. They just want you to be happy.
Well, good. I just want to be happy, so that works out for both of us. All right, and so finally, let me move on to one last thing that I want to get everybody's take on. So tomorrow there is supposed to be Parks news coming. You guys have heard about this, yes? There's like a park investors call that they're doing, a virtual call. And so when I heard about this, I was like, I wonder what it's going to be. So I wrote down what I thought were going to be possibilities for this, what they could possibly talk about. Because like at Destination D, really all they talked about was opening dates of things and naming them. Like that seems to be kind of their new trick is like, hey, we didn't give you the name of the Wish, so we're going to tell you it's called the Wish, but we're not going to tell you anything else about it. Or, hey, we're going to tell you about the floor of the Connections Cafe, but we're not going to tell you when it's opening. Like that kind of thing. So like they're spilling little bits of information, and I think they're almost out of things to spill unless they're ready to tell us new things. So this is my list, and let me just show, this is what I came up with. So Roundup Barbecue, we don't have a date yet. Jesse's Gift Shop, don't have a date yet. I'm just calling it Jesse's Gift Shop. But the Guardians, we think we have a date because it was leaked, but we don't necessarily have an official date. That DVC Poly expansion that we saw, that California Tower, I don't think we have a date on when that's coming. The Connections opening, maybe an update on Journey of Water, the Play Pavilion, something about Tron because they literally haven't talked about that in forever. And then Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios opening up. Let me ask you, Rob, what do you think they're going to say, and what do you wish they would say on the call tomorrow?
I think they're going to say, I think your list is actually pretty good. They're going to update us on things that we have a little bit of understanding on, but they haven't given us any specifics. I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't give us some more information on park attendance because it's an investor event. An update on how much money they're making off of Genie Plus, and then maybe an update on the launch date for the Minnie Vans. Again, these are all things that, tying it back to the revenue that they're going to earn from it. These are investors, and those are the types of things they're going to want to hear about.
Well, on this rag that I read, WDWNT.com, they said that the major Disney parks announcements may be in store. So same question for you, Shannon. What do you think will be on there, and what do you hope's on there?
I feel like opening dates for things we already know about isn't major news. I think major news would be selling APs again. Are we going to open a park to rival Epic Universe, like a new park entirely? Getting rid of the reservation system. That's a pipe dream, but we can only hope. So that's big news to me. I don't think like, okay, Roundup Barbecue is opening for Memorial Day weekend because we're going to ring in summer.
Okay.
If that's big news, that's very sad.
Gotcha. All right, Allie, what do you think? Anything for the West Coast, do you think?
Because I was listening to Tom's live stream today, he thought they might finally let us know about the Nemo submarines, when those are going to reopen. I would love to hear more about the Magic Key Terrace and when they're going to be all done with that. I think that hotel they just started over there by Disneyland Hotel, hopefully we'll get a little more information on that. But mostly I just want to know, about APs, if the Premier Pass is going to come back, what their plan is for that, and park reservations, because they are a nightmare right now.
Yeah, good point. I mean, it hadn't occurred to me about the AP, but I feel like that's probably... I'm surprised nobody asked that on the shareholder call, by the way, because the one dude did step up and say, when you bring the Premier Pass back, but now that you guys are talking about that, I'm like, why didn't that come up as a question on the shareholder call? Because it means money. So, I mean, it feels like something they should do. Rosita in chat said, I hope they will tell us when they'll get rid of, it says Rob Chapek, which I take offense to, but maybe she means Bob, but yeah, when they'll get rid of Bob Chapek. And, there's been a lot of news recently that just makes it feel like I don't know how he comes back from all the things he's done. So I feel like he needs to come out of the gate with something big, and I don't know what that would possibly be that wouldn't cost them $8 gajillion to do, seeing as though he likes to do things on a little bit more on the cheapy cheap.
Yeah, let's be clear. All he has to do is continue to produce amazing revenue and profits for the park. We all get mad and we don't like some of the things he says or does, but as long as he comes back with the impressive numbers that Disney is generating, he's completely safe in his job. None of us like to hear that, but as a member of our board of directors, they're not going to move on or separate someone who is just continuing to produce the levels that Disney parks are producing.
What if I said please?
That'll do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, again, I'm with you, Shannon. I've said for so long, and I was really hoping this would be a 50th anniversary update and obviously COVID happened, and they have used COVID, I think, as an excuse for a lot of cost cutting. But I was hoping that by the time the 50th rolled around, we'd have Tron rolling, we'd have Guardians rolling, and we'd have all these other projects would be done, and they'd go, great, look around, isn't this awesome? Guess what? For the, our next big project, a fifth gate.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing. And what I keep being told is, well, they've got to fix what they have now, because again, when you walk into Epcot, it's not done. That festival center you're talking about is not coming anytime soon. So, they really need to fix what's there. But at the same time, I think we see Epic Universe as something that will drive them to try harder and maybe do something more, but I don't think they see it the same way. I honestly don't. I think they don't see Universal as a competitor to them. I think they see Universal as someone who's leeching off of their leftovers, and I don't know that they necessarily see them as a full-fledged competitor. And I think that Epic Universe may be probably a wake-up call for them. I hope it is. I hope it is for all of us. It makes it better for all of us if there's an awesome park that we can all go to and experience, and then it makes Disney go, hey, let's us do an awesome park. I wish that they had saved Star Wars for its own park. I wish they could have saved Pixar stuff for its own park. And now that it's all mixed in with the other parks, maybe it needs to be something else. The Villains Park we've heard so much about. Anything else, but I'm just really excited to see what they're going to do. And Epic Universe, really, with the Mario Land and the Fantastic Beasts, any more, from the Harry Potter universe, the classic monsters, it all sounds amazing. And the cool thing is that Universal really hasn't told us any of that. Most of that's rumors, right? And so they don't really tell us anything until it's like almost ready to go, like Velocicoaster, as opposed to we heard about Tron in 2017. At least 2019, and it's been a while. So anyway, thank you guys so much. We are going to be taking a quick commercial break. When we come back, we are going to be talking about March Madness, what they did on News Tonight. Was it a good idea? Was it a bad idea? What went down? We're going to talk about it right here, so don't go away.
to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside and a panel of Disney superfans as they take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog, tell you its history, details, give their review, and let you know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes. Or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube at unplanneddowntime.com.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Apologies, no apologies for that being a self-serving commercial. Deep in the Plus is now on Wednesday nights, and we hope you guys will join us. We are going to be doing our first watch-along in a while. We're going to be doing Moon Night, which comes out on the 30th, the night that we do our show. So hopefully you guys will enjoy, will join us for that. But right now, oh my gosh, look who's joining us for what? It's Patrick. Patrick is back to talk March Madness with us. How are you, sir?
Alive and well, my friend.
Well, I feel like I need to have a beverage with me. I don't have one, so I feel like
it's coming.
Yeah, I feel like I need one with me because the word iconic. Now, they talked about this a little bit on the show, and they went so far as to make a wheel of alternate choices other than iconic, and they still kept fighting to use the word iconic. And I feel like I give us credit, Patrick. Last year on ParksCenter, did we not out them for using the word iconic way too much?
I feel like they just kind of were like, hey, what they did on ParksCenter was really good last year. Why don't we put that at the front of our show as well? And now Eric and Pete are doing my job. And Eric even got the sport coat. Like, come on, killing me here. The thesaurus would be a great gift if anyone was looking to get our panel something.
Well, WDW Mickey, thank you for the super chat. Just the word iconic. But again, the first episode of March Madness they did this year, like Colleen said it like 7 times in the same sentence almost, and so yeah, 7. Yeah. So I really think it's one of those things where it's hard not to do it. But one of the problems that I have with March Madness in general, the way that we do it, and maybe this is what makes it fun, because I think all of us probably got involved with this blog around March Madness and being excited for it, and I think that, Shannon, you said maybe that was part of what got you sucked in a little bit, was on News Tonight and them doing March Madness. So, you know, and again, that's why ParksCenter started, was to kind of go back behind the scenes and do a little bit of like sports analogy of what they, you know, what went down. And I think what we're doing here tonight is a little bit more in depth. I think Pete and Eric are just trying to be funny and fill time in between. But I think that what we're going to do is really kind of talk about what went down in general and how things changed. I think in the past I've talked about how you can see Tom manipulate a situation, and I feel like I saw that this week, so I want to talk about that. But also, I think that there needs to be a better like criteria. Because first of all, the topic this year is show scenes. Well, some things are pre-shows. Some things are bits of a movie. Some things are like bugs in the butt. Like, I feel like there's so many things that don't jive necessarily with what I think of when I think of a show scene. So, like, to me, you know, I don't know if they're being specific enough about the criteria. So then when they go back in to make up, like, what are they going to talk about as far as, like, did we like it, did we not like it? The other thing that's different from a regular bracket, and I swear I'm going to stop soon, but one of the things that's different from a regular bracket is that in a regular bracket, you go through and you go, all right, here are the teams I think that are going to go all the way to the end. That's not what they're doing. They're going round by round. Right. So they'll say something one week, and then the next week they'll trash what they actually said the last week.
So I think that is something that Tom actually brought up in saying that the seeding actually doesn't matter. Because it's whoever you beat, who's in front of you, you know, just like the actual tournament. You beat whoever's in front of you. It doesn't matter if they're a 15, like St. Peter's, who just went down, or it's, you know, the number 1 seed. You got to beat who's in front of you. So in the long run, I guess it doesn't matter. I think that they're actually doing a really good job this year. I think a good job is being done. There's less mistakes this year than I think I've seen in previous years.
So the other thing that I've found interesting, again, comparing it to a real bracket, is that you never say, you know what, there's already 3 teams from New York doing well. I'm not going to root for another team from New York. This is not my favorite of those 3 teams from New York. Like, Shannon, you saw that go down with many, many different situations, didn't you?
Yeah, and it bothered me because say they were comparing the ballroom scene to, I don't know, the transport ship at Rise. They'd say, well, it's not the best scene in Haunted Mansion, right? There's another scene that's in this tournament we need to be comparing those 2 things at hand, not saying, oh, in the back of my head, I really like this scene. You just need to be sticking to who's competing against who. That really bothered me. And I missed the call-ins, too.
I do not miss the call-ins. That is how we wound up with Cosmic Rays and
the callers kind of swaying the vote. I kind of like that because I feel like it pretty much brings some balance to it. But I do think it's interesting when I watch Tom sort of, and I'm not. I think he called us out for maybe saying he was the devil. I'm not saying that.
I never said that.
No, me neither.
On here. Sure.
No, not in a forum that was recorded. No, you wouldn't say that. But when he wants, I think, something to win or move forward, I think it's very clear that that's something he wants to do, and I think that was the way with the Wizard of Oz this time. I think with Wizard of Oz, I think he wasn't sure whether it would win or not, so he said, "Let me start." And then he puts the groundwork down to the point where you'd be sort of afraid not to, not because you were afraid of him, but because he made such a good point. Rob, you're smiling a little bit. Do you agree with that? Disagree?
Yeah, Tom can be very convincing, absolutely, he can be very convincing. I will stay there.
Okay, all right. Well, any other thoughts on the tournament so far?
No, it seems like year after year, the same kind of thought process goes into play. I wish, I did like the notion of having the call-ins to be able to kind of help give the voice of the audience, but we see the same kind of outcomes year after year.
So the Wizard of Oz beat the inter-system transport ship from Rise, and the funny thing about that is I feel like they were all about it last week. So again, that's what makes the difference, right? Is that 1 week
6-1, 6-1, yeah.
Yeah, 1 week you're about it, and then the next week you're like
over a Mark Davis team.
Right, exactly. So then you're like, oh, let's turn it around. Now, I think we saw that same thing happen pretty strong with the winch auction.
Yeah.
That it was almost like you were in a position after that, like, I dare you to say something.
Jill laid the groundwork for that. And listen, those who've watched me on several of these things can probably get the way I lean and everything, but that's a great scene. It needed to be replaced. It wasn't replaced well, which only makes us think how much better that scene actually was. And I think, once again, what we were talking about is it shouldn't matter if all these are from the same attraction because, let's be honest, Pirates of the Caribbean has some of the best sets in the history of theme parks. They're amazing. They're immersive. You are on the water in a battle, and I think they should have that many. I'm surprised with an attraction as terrible as it is that Spaceship Earth has as many as it does, but I've also fought for them. So,
well, and again, the arguments for some don't hold water against the others. I think that GMR was trashed as being just nostalgic, and I'm not bringing that up with Bazemore because he agrees with that, but I think most of us, and like my father loved that attraction, I love that attraction, my son loved that attraction, so I do think it was generational. I think it just needed to be updated. I think we're all a little upset that, not all, some of us are upset about that, but I don't see any really much difference between that and Spaceship Earth. Am I wrong? I mean, Spaceship Earth looks like it needs to be updated or it needs to be changed. Shannon, what do you think about that?
Oh. I actually just want to go back to the Oz scene real quick.
Yeah, do it.
I was that person that Tom said believed that was a human being, that witch was real. It wasn't like until I was older. I must have been a teenager, if not older. And I realized one day, like I had an epiphany. I'm like, that is an animatronic. But that makes it, to me, that helps make the argument if it's believable. The transport ship is cool. too. But I think besides the door trick, is it that cool? There's some screens. So it's really tough in general to do these brackets because these scenes are so different. And I think at the end of the day, we all have our inherent biases, right? Like, I love the Muppet scene. There was a reason why the very first thing I said in my very first ParksCenter was, Debbie was sick, so the union sent me. Like, to me, it's hysterical. It's a classic. I love that pre-show. And yes, I understand it probably shouldn't have beat the auction scene, but I'm so happy it did.
Me too. I mean, it's the Muppets deserve some love. And that's what happens is when something gets eliminated, you start like pumping up other things from that attraction because you're like, well, I mean, something for the mansion has to go forward. You can't have everything for the mansion go. So we got to make sure we get something there. And I honestly think the best scene in Muppet Vision is the finale. But the pre-show, it really sets the stage. It puts you in the world of the Muppets in so many different ways. And I think like each set piece builds on the next. And I think where it comes in, and somebody made this great point about the Savannah reveal, is not only did they make that so much an attraction, but they did it just like they did with an attraction. They just turn that corner and there you are and everything's in front of you. I think there's a lot to be said for the way these show scenes are put together and how attractions are put together and what you get in each area. That's why I'm kind of having some trouble with the jail scene right now, is because I don't feel like it's so good, but
I think
it's missing something.
It shouldn't have beat the Twilight pre-show.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that.
You know what, you were saying that, to change gears a little bit, you were saying that you don't think that like you can have all the mansion ones hit to the end. I feel like you kind of can. That's almost like saying you can't you can't have all the ACC teams in the Final Four. I mean, I feel like you kind of can, except for the fact that now, that was not what I meant to do at all. I meant to do this. I mean, I just like seeing you, Patrick. But, now we have a Spaceship Earth scene versus a Spaceship Earth scene. And because we go back to the fact that, like you said, they pump up the one that, and they put down the other. There was one of these that they fought hard for both of these, making valid points. Next week, you'll see them trashing one that they put up on a pedestal. And that's the weird part about the way that this March Madness works. One other thing I want to kind of go back to that you said, Shannon, was you were talking about how good that animatronic was from Wizard of Oz and how neat that is and how realistic it is. I still go back to this, that the Shaman of Songs back in the first layer, the first round, was eliminated by flying over London, which, again, that's where I get into the weirdness of, is it because of the nostalgia of the attraction?
Yes.
Or is it really a good show scene?
Like, it's just classic. It's classic. We'll go with that instead of the other word.
Right.
It's not that great. I mean, look at just the experience of being in Pandora as a whole, and each of those attractions builds on that area, and that animatronic's amazing. I dislike Pan so much, and I scoff every time I see its wait time.
See, I don't dislike Pan, and I do see it as a classic, and I think it's one of those things that needs to kind of stay in its classic form. Add things, change things that make it better when you get the technology to do it. It doesn't need to stay a museum, but it is one of those things that from generation to generation gets shared, so I get that. But saying that it's a great scene, I don't even think that's one of the best scenes. Like, to me, the best scene in Pan is when you go by the sail on the one side and you see them fighting, and you come back the other side and you see that they've won. That, to me, is one of the best scenes in Peter Pan. It's not the flying over London scene, because it feels like a room filler a little bit to me. I mean, again, it's a really cool ride vehicle, the way they put it together. It's and it was great for 1955, 1971, but I don't think that gets this far. But now we've got this challenge that one of the things you just talked about is going to have to go up against it, the Savannah reveal versus the flying over London. So, like, what do you like in that matchup, Rob? Okay. He's all choked up. He's all choked up.
Got emotional.
Let's go to Shannon about this. What do you think about that matchup?
Oh my gosh, this is hard because I love Pan and I do love that flying over London scene, but it is so archaic. It's so basic and it has not been redone. And Savannah, it's real. right?
Yeah.
It's as real as it can be in terms of a recreation of the Serengeti and the animals. So I think Savannah's going to take it unless people really are going for their heartstrings and Pan.
Yeah, I mean, just in
Gotta
case
be
you're
Savannah.
wondering, Rob, you're okay, right?
Just give us a thumbs up. Like,
Okay.
you're
Cool.
gonna make it.
Yeah. We worry. We worry. Just take a minute. Go get a drink or something. I'm worried. Let's go back to Patrick. Let me ask you, what do you think was the big mistake of the night?
Oh man, that's really hard to kind of say like what the big mistake, because it wasn't that difficult of a round. I think if anything, I felt Catastrophe Canyon was gypped a little bit. I think the stretching room is great in Disneyland, and I think that Walt Disney World's version is fine, but it's not functional. It's just there because it's expected to be there, and I think that the set piece of Catastrophe Canyon is so great. It's so huge, the scope of it. And then I forgot who said it, but you go around the back and you see how they did that. That's something great, and it was so important to the park at that time.
Yeah, Piano Rob was the guy that said that. Is that you
Yeah.
go? I think you go around the back and you see that. Which, by the
He
way,
was a great addition. I like his opinions. He's been really good.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job on there, and I love his commitment to his swagger, to wear the sunglasses every single episode at night. I think that's a really important piece of the lore that is Piano Rob. But I agree. I think he's doing a great job holding his own in there. But for this one, I think that Tom said something that I was thinking about, which was the fact that this is not the best version of this. That Earthquake that was over at Universal,
That was a good point, yeah.
was a better version of what Catastrophe Canyon was. They would take you in, and even the one on the East Coast at Universal when they first opened up, they would drive you in, and it would happen on both sides of you,
Yeah.
and things would come down, and it really felt like you were in the middle of a disaster, which is the name they gave it after they took off Earthquake.
It was
felt,
the highlight of every Nickelodeon, game show commercial was seeing Earthquake.
So Catastrophe Canyon is interesting, but to me it wasn't as cool as the one at Universal, so it wasn't even the best version of that. But the stretching room...
neither's the stretching room.
Okay, but they did mention that, though. But to me, I think it's a good point that the stretching room is the same. I feel like that counts because it's a Disney thing, as opposed to the other one was a Universal thing.
I can see that. That's
So
fair.
but I think the stretching room itself is so classic that you couldn't have made the one in Florida without it after you made the one in California, and because the one in California has a purpose because of the elevator. The one in Florida, I think they were just like, we're going to do it there too because it's so good, and it's like, it's just. I feel like that one. I'm glad it won. I don't know how much further stretching room goes because this is its next matchup. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, you want to talk about something that's not Disney. The Wizard of Oz isn't Disney. I know we had that argument with Twilight Zone as well, but it's just, it was a great set piece. It really was. It was fantastic. And then it stayed there forever.
Yeah, they should have updated that. But we have a couple of great movie ride ones in here. We've got the Anubis scene is in here versus the burning town of Pirates of the Caribbean. So no?
Hitchhiking Ghost should have
Just no.
taken out Anubis. It shouldn't have happened. Yeah, you know what bothered me? And why does no one bring this up? In the Anubis scene, 9 out of 10 times that wall would not be put back in the right place. And it was terrible. It was so bad. And it drove me nuts. I'm like, cast members, please do better.
Okay.
Hitchhiking Ghost. Oh God, that's where I want to use the I word. But that as a kid, those Hitchhiking Ghosts always got me. It's incredible. And the fact that didn't make it.
Yeah. What are we thinking about this one, Patrick? The ballroom scene versus the jail scene of Pirates of the Caribbean, because they've lifted up both of these scenes over and over again. Do you think this is the end of the road for the jail scene?
I think it could be the end of the road for the jail scene. I think it should be the end of the road for the jail scene. The jail scene's awesome. It makes great merch. But in the scope of the ride, it's such a small portion of this huge immersive attraction. And I don't think it quite, meets what we need in this scenario. It's really impressive how long it stayed that way, and it hasn't lost its luster like I think Wizard of Oz did a little bit. But I think it might go down. I think we might have a 5-6 matchup in that bracket for the, I don't know what we have the Swell 16 and the Elastigirl 8.
Yeah, sure. I know that Eric got a little confused about the 8 because when he was talking about the 8, I was like, how did we get to 8 already? But then they came back and corrected. So we've got a super chat from Stephen Crawford, $9.99. The biggest mistake is talking about the Tower of Terror. Can you please just get rid of it? The puke pink color and the crappy black and white video makes me sick. Wow.
No.
He is coming after you. Thank you
That
for
is
this.
upsetting.
Thank you for the super chat and for lighting a fire under Patrick. That's both of those two
it's
things.
Before some of the next gen attractions, that is like the top of Imagineering in my mind is Tower of Terror. From the second you approach that courtyard, you are in that attraction, and I think more should have been done for it. Like I hope the Fifth Dimension, that didn't go. No, it did. Yeah, all right, that's tough for me.
So here's the thing, though. Here is my unpopular opinion. I don't think the Fifth Dimension is great.
It's not.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's great. Yeah, I said it. And
it is way better than the pre-show.
First of all, the departures lobby, I know that Desi was doing the whole I'm rooting for Star Wars stuff, and she voted for that. But I look at the Fifth Dimension, and when the elevators open and you start moving across, right? That's the Fifth Dimension? That's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And you look over to the left and you see like kind of a weird shape, and the right, and then they put you in the elevator and you go. To me, I'm not in love with that scene. But like 6 to 1.
I'm not either.
Yeah. And Rob, you looked surprised by that. Are you ready to speak up and say something after you come off of mute?
Oh, he's on mute still.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to hear me coughing. Sorry about that. I just think that's such a great story that it tells, that it kind of immerses you in the Twilight, the Twilight show itself. I love that, and I think it was also one of the first times I'd seen that type of technology used to tell a story at a park, and it just was really exciting every time I saw it.
Don't get me wrong. I love the concept that elevator goes up, opens up, and the car moves across. Like, that doesn't happen at any other Tower of Terror, I don't think. I know it doesn't happen in the one in California. So it moves across and gets into the next shaft and then goes up and down. And that, to me, is an amazing piece of technology. I think it should have gone further in the ride vehicles. But that specific scene is not even my... Like, when the doors open up and you see the hallway and you see the window at the end, like, that, to me, is the quintessential scene. I like the library. Yeah. That scene to me is the best one. And then when I get up to the top and it's just very abstract, I get that that's kind of what Tower of Terror is. But you're telling me I should love that scene with all my heart, Patrick?
I think you should love that scene with all your heart. I think it's a great scene, and I think they've updated it along the way as well. Because, when Summer Night Tastic came, they did a whole update, and then they kept the little photo of seeing you there. It's so good. And that the Florida air hitting you in the face, it's such a great experience, and it adds to the anticipation of the attraction. I will go crazy for Tower of Terror. I'm glad it's still in Disneyland, even though it got reskinned. I think that would be okay in Walt Disney World. But
first of all, $20 super chat from Rosita. Thank you so much. The queen of the super chat. Thank you, Rosita. Tower of Terror is awesome. I enjoy that story. I love the ride, and it's one of the fun rides in Hollywood Studios. I'm not saying I don't love that ride, because I do. I do love Tower of Terror. I love, again, how it moves across and goes in. But I'm just saying that specific show scene to me isn't the one. And so I'm just surprised that that's the one that they do, because again, from a technology standpoint, the fact that the elevator that I just rode up in moves across a room and goes into something else, and then I have that experience, is great. It's fantastic. Yeah. I love it. I just don't think that show scene itself should have beaten the crap out of the Star Speeder with a working R2-D2 and a working C-3PO, like 6 to 1. That's just, again, that's just my thing.
I mean, that's
my unpopular opinion of the day. But I just
Desi reaps what she sows. And she had to get something irrationally eliminated for Star Tours or Star Wars for something else carrying over. So, it is what it is. And now we're not in a fight anymore.
Okay. You guys are good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, you guys have made up, so I know the last
it's
week.
both of us against you again for Brink 2.
Not going to happen, friend. All right, so let's just talk about the next matchups, because we have 8 more matchups, 16 attraction scenes happening, going through. So we've got Anubis versus the Burning Town. I know we already got our information from Shannon on this. She's going Burning Town, but
Yep.
What do you think, Patrick?
Burning Town.
Yeah, and Rob?
Burning Town.
Okay. Ballroom versus jail scene. This is a little bit more controversial because, again, these are two that they've been fighting for all along as maybe the best one from the Haunted Mansion and the best one from Pirates. Shannon?
Ballroom.
Patrick?
Ballroom as well. I think I love the jail scene, and I think it's too small of a scope, I think.
Okay, and Rob?
Yep.
Ballroom all the way.
Yeah. I do, and again, for the ballroom, I think that's one of those that they fought a lot about this week, and I think that the interesting thing about that is that it, to me, that's the turning point between the two sides of the attraction, right, is when you hit the ballroom. And so when it gets a little bit more silly and a little less scary is when you hit the ballroom. And I love the ballrooms scene and, the Pepper's Ghost thing that I don't think I knew as a kid how that worked. So I would agree to that. And again, if we're playing the game of only one of these from the Haunted Mansion should move forward, I do think it's got more animatronics, which is a very Disney thing to me, and it's got it's just got more going on. It seems like it's a really fun time. So this one, you know what? I got to talk about this lineup here. This one, these how we got here kind of bothers me. So, Burning of Rome versus the America montage. So, I don't feel like Burning of Rome should have kicked butt that much, and I think in our culture, meaning the Disney fanatics that we all have a deep appreciation for Burning of Rome. But if you are a passive Disney fan and you were on the other side of the car from Burning of Rome, would it have mattered to you as much, you know what I'm saying, as that dramatic scene at the end? Because I feel like if we're talking about the full montage, you're talking about the statues on the side and the drapes lifting up and that music that just gets to your soul, and then the Statue of Liberty, animatronic coming up with the Mark Twain and Ben Franklin on it. I don't know how that one, Burning of Rome, is just a quick piece of the rest of that. And again, maybe an unpopular opinion, but Patrick, tell me I'm wrong.
Man, I don't know if you're wrong. I think we got really hung up on the montage having a screen and not going for everything that it has going with it, like you just said. So, there's a significant amount of animatronics. It's dramatic. I think that way either or would have been a win. I think either one of those would have went on to the next round. I don't think the Renaissance is that good. I'm more impressed with the scope of Rome when you walk in, and when you said of the other side of the car, I did nod, and I was like, yeah, I can see that most of it's off on the left, and so if you're leaning down a little bit to the right, it could be hard.
And the burning part you kind of miss because
it's
it's right around the corner as you're going around too. So if you could kind of miss that.
I don't disagree.
The other thing is that, especially Rob, and again, I want to be clear that I think that Piano Rob has done a great job on this, but he was talking in the first week about the cockpit from Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run, and how great that was. And the next week he goes, well, you know what? It's really just like, it's not a scene, And it's just, that was that back and forth of it's one thing, but then it's the other. So the cockpit, I think that was a really good, there were a lot of pluses about the cockpit for the Millennium Falcon. I do think it's a neat thing, but that is also on the cusp of, is it a show scene or is it not? It's part of it, but it's not necessarily.
It's also the ride vehicle, right?
Right, exactly. So then that gets me back to how we ended up with these two. So we're Burning of Rome versus Renaissance. Shannon, what are you thinking?
To me, it comes down to that smell. I love when Disney plays with my senses. So Burning Rome, and then the Renaissance. But I love the music and the way you're moving through the scaffolding. This is going to be so hard. But I have to go with, oh my God, have to go with Burning Rome.
Let me ask you about this super chat, Rob.
He's looking around. There's someone else in the room.
Yeah, you saw that I pulled up this screen, so I'm looking at this super chat. It says Rob Bazemore $10. Rob is wrong. Do you mean you're wrong?
Of course. I mean, that's all. That's why. Otherwise, I would have said Rob W was wrong.
Okay, of course.
See, that's why you need a point system. Throw people off periodically.
All right, so back to this then. Rob, which one do you think?
I'm going with Burning Rome too. The scale and I also like the smell piece of it as well. So Burning Rome.
Okay. Patrick, did you say?
I did. I said Rome.
Okay, cool. So Yeti. By the way,
Yeti.
Betty the Yeti. So Yeti, working Yeti versus the finale from Flight of Passage. I think there's been a lot of argument about screen-based, and I think that's one of the no-no words in our vocabulary as WDWNT people is
Heights?
screen-based. Screen-based. No, not just, it has to be, it's hyphenated? Is it one word? I don't know. But we don't like screen-based things. So, but the Yeti in its working form is pretty amazing, but it's also very brief when you roll through there. So, Shannon, what do you think?
I saw the Yeti for real when it was working, and it was one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen. Yes, it's quick, but it took my breath away. I want to see that Yeti go all the way.
Okay. Rob?
Yeah, I think, we have at Disney have such a passion for animatronics, and although it hasn't really functioned, it is just a really cool animatronic, and it has to win.
Yeah, and Patrick?
You can still convince people that moves. We're going and saying when it was at its peak, but I think it should go. Let's not throw a Flight of Passage in there. I think this goes back to last year's tournament, where I think, again, that's the ride vehicle that should have won. There's a living, breathing organism underneath you in that situation. You're like riding it's ridiculous. And I think that's where some of the thrills come from. Otherwise, it's just soaring.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy that. So I feel like everybody for this one, I feel like I know everybody's answer but Shannon.
Oh, gosh.
I thought this was an automatic for you.
No. I think Wizard of Oz was impressive, but this is going back to I want to err on the side of Disney, and I have to go Stretching Room.
Okay, Rob?
I would have to go with Stretching Room as well. Obviously, the Great Movie Ride was an amazing ride, but
who are you, and where is Rob Bazemore?
But I still think the Stretching Room is just such an iconic opening scene. Stretching Room as it is.
Yeah. Okay, I owe you one. All right, and Patrick?
I honestly don't really have a huge opinion of this one. I'm fine with either one moving on as long as they lose in the next round. And I don't care who they lose. They can lose to Muppets or Fifth Dimension. I think that those two there are much better than the two up top.
So which one do you think will go through on this?
That's really tough for me. That's like asking to choose between my favorite kid, which is why we only have one.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
I knew that.
So pre-show, I think pre-show of Muppet Vision puts you in a better world. I think it gives you everything. There's a lot of tricks. There's gags. There's so much to look at. I wish it was the finale, but I think this should move on.
You know what? My favorite part of I think this conversation was when Piano Rob said something about, well, wait a minute, why would you vote for this? Because there's identity theft involved because of Rizzo trying to be Mickey. So I thought that was kind of neat. What do you think, Rob?
Oh no, he's dead again.
Sorry. No, obviously I'd also go with Muppet Vision pre-show. It just sets the mood. There's such great classic humor involved there. It wins every time.
And again, we talked a lot, or they talked a lot about pre-shows and being quotable, like Dinosaur was quotable. And this one is one that I remember as a cast member, I would go all the time just really to watch the pre-show because the pre-show was so good. And, I would annoyingly quote all of it. So yeah, I agree that that's the thing, and I assume that's where you're going, Shannon.
But you also have to count on the air conditioning effect, right? There's such great air conditioning in that room that cools you off, and it sets a great environment for you.
That's next year's tournament. Top 64 places that air conditioning smacks you in the face. Grand Floridian lobby. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, Rob, you touched on this earlier. When those doors open, I'm always to this day confused as to what I'm seeing because it looks like the shell of a building. Is it an unfinished floor of the hotel? What is going on? So, and in Muppet Vision, not only is the show, the movie good, but there's so much to see around you. I feel like I find something new every time I'm in that room. So Muppets.
All right, 2 more. So Savannah versus the Flying Over London. Patrick?
If there is a creator in the heavens, it's Savannah Reveal, but I fear for the worst.
Okay, Rob?
I would go also with Savannah Reveal.
All right, and Shannon?
Savannah.
All right, so this one's interesting. I feel like this is a no-brainer, but, someone on this panel may be too young to remember the original. Patrick, is the Art Deco Future Horizons versus Flight into Imagination, the original Journey into Imagination, the opening scene there. So, Shannon, what do you think?
Well, it kind of sounds like everyone made up their mind already that Flight was going to win the whole thing. But I'll go with Flight because Figment.
Okay.
I'll go with Flight. Yeah.
Yeah, those are both great, but I'd also do Flight.
And Patrick?
So I had my first time I ever walked into Walt Disney World. I do believe both of these attractions were open, and at the size I was, I do believe I could have went on both of them. I have zero memory of ever experiencing, being around, being near Horizons, so it didn't stick with me. That scene in Figment stuck with me from a 5 or 6 year old, and just stuck with me the rest of my life. That I permanently, you want to talk about tattoos. I mean, I permanently put Figment on my body. I think that Figment should win.
Well, true, but again, that's not really about Figment, is it? It's about the show scene,
and that scene is fantastic.
Yeah, if you guys haven't watched it, the Back to the Future that the WDWNT did, which is on YouTube, about the original, or about basically the entire history of Journey into Imagination, is on there. And when you look at the intricacies of that first scene and everybody kind of having their own experience with the Dreamfinder as it spun around and then moving on, it is a modern marvel that I'm just desperately devastated that they got rid of it. I mean, it was just so good, and now it's just nothing. It's the load platform. It's just not. It's not there. They gutted it out. It just was so cool that I would, love for that to win. So I think we have a lot of Epcot / old school Epcot super fans on the panel, and I think that I can't see anything beating that in this tournament. But then again, Cosmic Rays, right? So we never really know how that's going to work.
Cosmic Rays was a movement. Being on the panel for that year, it was just several things just combining. It was the register argument that Josh brought up. It was the calls, and it was the fact that if this was going down this way, it was going down in the sourest way possible, and I still think they deserve a plaque.
Sour, like as in Olivia Rodrigo, are we talking?
No?
I
don't think I can comment on that. I heard she wrote a song. I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. So, let me just, does anybody see anything other, and I'll start with you, Shannon, anybody see anything other than this going to the finals? Or to winning it all? No?
No.
Rob, do you think that's going to win it all?
No, there's too many old people on here for it not to win.
Okay, and Patrick, I assume you think the same.
No, I'm gonna throw a wild card in here. I think the Yeti.
Wait.
Oh. Yeah. Oh.
I think that when all is said and done, the Yeti actually wins this tournament because I think in its perfect stage, it was one of the greatest show scenes that has ever been put in an attraction. It was a triumph of Imagineering.
Yeah, Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I still think there could be a wild card with either ballroom or jail scene, whichever one ends up going forward on that one, and then also maybe Wizard
Any
of Oz.
GMR thing. Yeah.
Maybe Wizard of Oz or Stretching Room, whichever one ends up going through there. So it's going to be an interesting battle. We're going to be back next week to talk about, like, kind of recap it, what happens, and then we'll see. We'll see how it goes from there. But I think so far this week was interesting. There was a new dynamic this week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. But just any final thoughts on the night? I'll go around the horn, starting with you, Patrick. Any final thoughts in general about the March Madness, etc.?
I think this has actually been one of our better March Madnesses. I think that the panel has varied interests. They're varying age groups. I like it. I think they've done well. I think the first round had more mistakes than the second. But all in all, I have no complaints. I think we're doing a good job. I think that having callers have teams to root for and swaying arguments isn't really going to show what is the best. And that is how you wind up at Cosmic Race.
Okay. Rob?
I think, as it typically does, nostalgia wins out for us, I'm excited to see how it ends up.
Okay, and Shannon?
I just want to put in my formal request to be on the panel next year.
What?
Shake things up.
Because you think it would be fun, or because you think you know better than they do?
Both.
Okay. Because, I mean, that will be interesting to see how that goes. But anyway, all right. Well, thank you guys for being on the panel tonight. We appreciate it. Patrick, we'll have you back next week to talk about more March Madness and your beautiful blazer. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have not already, please make sure to like this video, so that helps people to find it, and subscribe to WDWNT for more great content. If you are a WIGS member, we love our WIGS members. Thank you guys so much for being part of our Patreon program. If you'd like to know more about that, you can go to patreon.com/WDWNT, and we would love to have you as one of our Patreon members, because our Patreon members get a lot of very cool features, including a post show, which will be coming up now after ParksCenter, and we hope you guys will join us for that. Otherwise, make sure to join us next Sunday night again at 8 p.m. for more ParksCenter. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Bye.
Boom.